Hey y'all, it's me, Dree. So today our emotion oracle cards are serenity, loneliness, and fear. So what I'm getting here is that the collective has reached a place of peace after a significant lesson. I'm getting that there is a willingness to engage with life, to participate again, and to move forward again. But as this peace settles into the field, I'm getting that there is a reminder of a past experience that left a lasting impression on the collective. It was a lesson that was difficult to learn, a lesson that changed the collective. And I'm getting that because that lesson is still relevant, it naturally creates this fear. Because once we recognize how much we've grown, there is also a vulnerability that comes with trusting ourselves to apply that growth when, I don't know, life presents a similar situation again. Now let's get into the message. We're starting under this serenity, and I have the Four of Cups reversed, the Six of Cups reversed, and strength. So with this Four of Cups reversed, I'm getting the collective is re-engaging with life again. The words on this card talk about engagement, focus, and seizing the day. So right away, I don't feel like the collective is hiding. I don't feel like the collective is isolating. No. I also don't feel like the collective is sitting in the past. I feel like the collective is participating with life again. Y'all are opening yourselves back up to experience. Y'all are allowing yourselves to be present again. But then we have the Six of Cups reversed, and this is where something interesting happens, because I'm getting, as soon as the collective re-engages with life, they are instantly reminded of a past experience. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a person returning from the past. No, I think this is an energy returning. Maybe a familiar pattern, a familiar dynamic, a familiar feeling. Whatever it is, I'm getting something happens that causes y'all to recognize a lesson that y'all have already lived through. And what I'm getting is that this wasn't a small lesson. This was one of those lessons that changes you. One of those lessons that leaves a lasting impression. One of those lessons that takes time to fully integrate. Big lesson. And then the first column ends with this strength. And really, I love seeing this strength card right here, because this card landing right here tells me that the collective is not the same person that they were when this past experience happened before. Because the lesson worked. The growth happened. The wisdom was earned. And now y'all understand things that y'all didn't understand before. Y'all trust yourselves in ways that you didn't trust yourselves before. And that tells me why this loneliness is popping up right here, because I don't think the collective is lonely right now. No, I don't think that. I think this loneliness is here because, well, the collective remembers loneliness. And getting y'all remember what happened before when this lesson had not been integrated. And getting that y'all remember the consequence. And getting that y'all remember how difficult that entire season of your life was. And I think y'all remember what all that cost y'all. And, well, because y'all remember the cost, y'all are no longer willing to sit back and allow life to unfold around y'all without participating in the direction that it takes. And underneath this loneliness, I have the Page of Swords reversed. I have the Nine of Cups reversed. And I have the Three of Cups. So, with this Page of Swords reversed, I'm getting that as soon as the collective stands in their strength and re-engages with life again, a test arrives almost immediately. Because y'all re-engage with life, and almost as soon as y'all do, y'all encounter something that raises questions. Something catches y'all's attention. Something doesn't quite add up. But also, that something, it feels familiar. And I'm not getting that that's because it's identical to the past. What I am getting is that it's because the situation carries the same energetic signature. So the collective recognizes the pattern. Then we have the Nine of Cups reversed. And this is where y'all begin seeing beneath the surface. Because this Nine of Cups reversed, it absolutely talks about a hollow feeling. But this card, it also talks about excess. It talks about overindulgence. It talks about behavior driven by appetite. Behavior driven by gratification. Behavior that feels good in the moment, but lacks the depth necessary to sustain itself. And I'm getting very much that the collective sees it. I'm getting they recognize something that they may not have recognized before. I think y'all are recognizing the warning signs here. I think y'all are recognizing where a particular pattern could eventually lead if it is left unchecked. And then this column ends with this column ends with the Three of Cups. So I love this card coming in right here too, because the environment that the collective has found themselves in, that's not the problem here. The social interaction that they're experiencing, that isn't the problem. Connection isn't the problem. Community isn't the problem. The collective is not being asked to retreat right now. Y'all are not being asked to isolate, and y'all are not being asked to run away from life. Y'all are being asked to remain present, to stay connected, to participate in the experience while honoring what y'all know. And honestly, I think this is where that loneliness, coming back to that, really just makes the most sense, because y'all remember what happened when y'all didn't recognize the lesson. Y'all remember the consequence, right? And now that memory in itself is helping y'all identify the pattern while it is still developing around you. And that really is a deep reflection that comes from a deep connection with yourself, which is really what the emotion of loneliness actually is. And then we get to this fear. And underneath fear, we have the Lovers, the Two of Wands, the Six of Coins. So honestly, I think fear is showing up because this is a vulnerable situation. It's one thing to understand a lesson after the fact, but it's another thing to apply the lesson while you're still standing in the middle of it. Don't you think? And with the Lovers, and getting that the collective arrives at a choice around how they choose connection. And I don't think this is simply about romance, you guys. I think this is about alignment. I think this is about values. And I think this is about deciding what belongs in y'all's life and really what does not. Because now that the collective recognizes the pattern, y'all have a decision to make, don't you? Then we get the Two of Wands reversed. Then this feels like a moment of true reassessment. Y'all stop and evaluate the path in front of y'all. Because I'm getting recognizing what you don't want, that is one thing. But defining what you do want, that is another. And that's exactly what I see happening right now. Y'all begin refining y'all's standards, refining y'all's direction, refining the type of energy y'all want to participate in moving forward. Y'all are no longer operating from old wounds. Y'all are operating from wisdom. And then the message ends with this Six of Coins. So this card is about giving and receiving. It's about reciprocity, equal exchange, and being valued. And honestly, I don't see this as a reward. I'm seeing this as a standard. Because after everything the collective has learned along this way, after everything y'all have experienced, and after everything y'all have integrated, I'm getting y'all finally understand the value of mutuality. No more carrying the entire exchange. No more doing all the emotional labor. No more abandoning y'all selves for the sake of participation. The collective now understands that reciprocity is a requirement. And I think that's why this fear is here. Because yes, there is vulnerability in trusting yourself enough to choose differently. There is vulnerability in applying the lesson in real time. There is vulnerability in honoring your standards when life presents you with an opportunity to ignore them. But the cards are showing me that the collective is doing just that. Honoring y'all's standards. So I'm getting that. The message for the collective today is pretty simple. Y'all have learned more than y'all think you've learned. And the past pattern has returned so y'all could recognize how much it is that y'all have really grown. The pattern has appeared so y'all could see the lesson in real time. And the outcome, well, that shows a collective that is no longer making decisions from old pain. Now they're making decisions from wisdom. They're making decisions from experience. And most importantly, they're making decisions from self-trust. And that's the message that I have for y'all today. So if this one landed, then like my message. And if you made it to the end, then leave me a comment and let me know. And make sure that you're following along. And remember, where there is love, there is light. I'll see y'all again real soon.